Greetings, welcome back to my YouTube channel. How you all are doing today? In this session, we are going to cover the advanced features of AWS Elastic Load Balancing. So we all know, right? We are right these days we are discussing on what is Elastic Load Balancing, and the first feature that I am going to cover in this session is what is cross-zone load balancing. So let us see how it is done. So friends, as you can see in the diagram here, this diagram depicts a classic load balancer which is distributing traffic across instances. You can see here there are three instances, and there is a classic load balancer, and the traffic is getting distributed across each of these instances. So this is it's a default how the way the load balancing work. So you will ask, okay, what is different in the cross zone load balancing and what is its a benefit? Okay, so let's first of all discuss what is this benefits or what is cross zone load balancing does. So with cross zone load balancing, each load balancer node for our classic load balancer distributes requests evenly across the register instances in all enabled availability zone. So this is the most important thing with the cross zone load balancing. So as you can see here, if you go down, there is a diagram here. You can see there are two availability zone in this diagram. This is availability zone A and availability zone B. Okay, and this what are this showing? These orange boxes are the your could be your either containers or EC2 instances, or it could be anything. Okay, so when we enable the cross zone load balancer, so the traffic will get distributed across each of the availability zone. So in this case, if say I enable it, then it will be distributed across both this availability zone, that is availability zone A and availability zone B. Okay, and in case it's say if we disable it, so we are going to see how we can enable and disable it. In that case, it will be the traffic will be restricted to that particular zone only. It won't bother about the other zone. So here let's discuss about what is the detail of about this diagram. So the following diagram demonstrates the effect of cross zone load balancing with round robin as a default routing algorithm. Okay, so based on this round robin algorithm, traffic is distributed such that each load balancer node receives 50% of the traffic from the clients. Each load balancer node distributes its share to the traffic across the registered targets in its scope. So registered targets, as we have seen, so if it is application load balancer, instead of traffic directly coming to instances, there are some logical grouping of the that instances or container that we call as a registered target. So if you are not familiar, I would recommend just check out my earlier video on that, so you will get to know what is application load balancer and how it works. And in this case, if the cross zone load balancer is enabled, each of the 10 targets receive 10% of the traffic. So let's understand how it will be done. So here you can say this is because each load balancer can route its 50% of the client traffic to all 10 targets. So here these all are 10 targets. So in this target, it could be multiple EC2 instances or containers could be inside of each target. There are two nodes. So basically, when we talk about availability zone, so when we create the load balancer, it will create the node, so that node will be responsible to share the traffic. Here, as you can see, there are basically with these there are two nodes, each will distribute 50%. Okay, in this case, and since there are total 10 targets, so with when the cross zone load balancer is enabled, it will balance across each. So say if there are 10 targets, so 100% of traffic will gets divided like 10% across it. So it gets evenly distributed across each availability zone and across each targets. That is the most important feature of cross zone load balancer when we have enabled it. And in case suppose we have disabled it, say in case it's disabled, what will be scenario in that case? In this case, what will happen? The load balancer can route the 50% of the client traffic to only to the targets in its availability zone. Say in case we disable it, say for example, we know there are two load balancer, each will distribute 50-50 evenly, okay, and since there are two availability zone A and B, and if we in case we disable, what will happen? So for A we can say there are two target, these two are the target for availability zone A, and there are 8 targets for availability zone B. So for in first case, what will happen? The 50% gets divided across two targets. So it means 25% will be traffic will be received by each of this target. However, in case of availability zone B, since there are 8 targets and there are a total 50%, so 50 divided by 8, which comes around 6.25. So the 6.25% of the overall load will be distributed across each target. So you will be understood, right? So what is the difference here? If the cross zone load balancing has been enabled, each load will each target will evenly, it will perform its duties evenly. So every it will be shared across all what are the targets, it's there. However, if it has been disabled, in that case it will be uneven. So the traffic will be limited to that availability zone only, and it will be depend. Suppose for example, instead of there are two, instead of say availability zone, instead of two there are 4 targets. In that case, what will happen? 50% would have divided across 4, which would be around 12.50 approximately. Instead of 25, it would have half of that, because instead of 2 it would be 4. So this is the way it works when the cross zone load balancing is disabled. Now let us see what are some of the benefits of cross zone load balancing. As we have seen, the cross zone load balancing reduces the need to maintain equivalent number of instances in each enabled availability zone. That is one of the benefit of this cross zone load balancing. And another benefit which is very important is it improves your application ability to handle loss of one or more instances. So in case say here you can see if there is an application that runs across both availability zone, and say we have enabled it. So in that case, what will happen if any of these instances goes down? Okay, say for example, so this load balancer will detect, okay, say for example out of 8 targets, say, or 8 instances, one of the instance goes down. So a load balancer here, in this case load balancing node, will detect that particular node is disabled or it's not healthy. So it will check based on the listener's rule that we had seen last time. It will check 2 or 3 times and it will mark this as, say for example, unhealthy, and the traffic will stop getting to that. In that case, what will happen? Instead of 8, it will be 7, and traffic will get distributed to 7 instead of this one. It will be removed automatically unless it comes back in the healthy status. So here what will be the benefit of this is it will improve your application ability to handle the loss of one or more instances. So that is one of this benefit of that. And AWS recommends to maintain approximately equivalent number of instances in each enabled availability zone for higher fault tolerance. So that is the recommendation from AWS, which states to maintain approximately equivalent number of instances in each availability or in each enabled availability zone for higher fault tolerance. If we want fault tolerance, so we know, right, fault tolerance, what is fault tolerance? So using fault tolerance, you can achieve better higher availability, and you can make your application it can be able to handle loss of instances and will be highly available. So that is something you can achieve in fault tolerance, and it will be that is enabled or that is recommended by AWS. So now let us see how to configure the cross zone load balancing in the AWS. For that, you can see here I already logged in to my AWS management console, and you need to go to EC2 dashboard. Okay, after going to that, just click on your load balancers here, which will open this page, and select your load balancer. So in this case, this is my classic load balancer. and you need to go down to the description section. You can see here several tabs are here, and inside that you need to go to description. So if you scroll down, you can see here cross zone load balancing, and please note that by default it will be enabled. So whenever we create any load balancer, by default it will be enabled, so that traffic gets distributed across each availability zone evenly and to the each instances. If we say I want to disable it, I'll just click on change cross zone load balancer settings. It will open here, and even say you can see here's a little bit description. Cross zone load balancing distribute traffic evenly across all your backend instances in all availability zone. See the documentation for more information. So that is what we just discussed. So its main feature or the benefit of this enabling cross load balancing is it will distribute the traffic evenly across all backend instances in all availability zone. So that will be most important feature. Since it's by default enabled, if I need to disable it, I'll just click on disable and click on save. So you can see here it has been disabled now. So what will affect in this case is, say if I have say right now I do not have any instances in my other availability zone. If in that case if I had say availability zone, say 3 availability zone, so when we disable it, the traffic will be restricted to only one of the availability zone, their instances, and the instance it will be uneven distribution of the traffic to other availability zone in that case. So that is one of this benefit of enabling it. And friends, there are some other features as well, so we will discuss it in the upcoming session, which are the advanced load balancing feature, and after this we will be talking about how auto scaling feature and the relevant feature in terms of high availability. So I hope friends you got the point. Please go through this documentation. I'll be sharing in the comment section, and in case you have any queries, please feel free to write your comments in the comment section. So friends, that's it for today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Take care.